Hey friends, and welcome to Mom Talk Maryland. I'm your host, Claire Duarte, founder of the Columbia Mom, and this is your spot for real conversations, local love, and a whole lot of community. Whether you're folding laundry, running errands, or hiding in your car for some peace and quiet, let's dive in. All right, Tara, right?
Yeah.
I want to make sure I get it right. Well, I'm so excited to have you here. We're doing a little virtual podcast day on this beautiful Tuesday, but I'm so excited to have recently connected with you. Another fellow mom, fellow Maryland mom, fellow Instagram social media mom. You know what I mean? We wear a lot of hats, I would say, right?
Sure.
Yeah. So I'm so excited to have you here on the podcast so we can talk kind of like all things motherhood, all things social media, all things like, I kind of love when I, have some other fellow social media like influencers, because then we can kind of nerd out and talk about this world because, I feel like a lot of my job, and I'll say job because it obviously is, it's my full-time job, is explaining what it is that I do, or explaining marketing, explaining social media, explaining influencers. We have to it feels like education comes with everything that we do, even though like the large majority of the population knows what social media is and influencers and things like that. But ironically, I have a corporate training later today where I'm coming in and going to be doing the same thing. And I'm going to be teaching it's a group of real estate agents, like how to use Instagram, how to create reels effectively. So it's kind of ironic that,
it is. Yeah.
How the tables have turned. But anyways, to take it off me, to get started, Tara, I love an origin story. That's frankly like how and why I've kind of got even started with a Columbia Mom, because I had been in the area and formed some really amazing friendships with some local business owners. And I mean, obviously they were good friends, but I've learned like along the way that I obviously I do tons of features, all over the county and beyond. And I think one thing that has always interested me, I'm like curious, like how people got started and why their origin story. But curious to know again, your why and your passions, because I think the ways in which we get here to this point, at least for me, it was absolutely a crazy road. It's very unexpected. It wasn't planned. It wasn't on purpose. And for some people it is, and that's really cool. It doesn't even matter. That's just my point is like, I'm so excited to kind of get to know you more. And again, get to have, our followers and our viewers and listeners that are, listening in to get to know you more too. So hats off to you, Tara.
Awesome. Okay. So I'm Tara. I live in Frederick County with my husband and 3 kids. And a little bit kind of about how we got here and how we started our company, Travel Family. So my husband and I guess we'll go ahead and kind of go from day one. We're both from Pennsylvania. We're from the Brandywine Valley, which like if you've ever seen, they've had commercials weirdly lately about the Brandywine Valley. It's where Longwood Gardens is.
We've been to Longwood.
Yeah, that's like
exactly
where we're from. So we are both from this town, and we met in high school band, very nerdy and embarrassing.
I love that.
And then we both ended up going to colleges in DC and started dating and got married right after college. Like we had no business getting married at 23, but we did. Amazing. I know. So we actually
did all of college?
No, we were just like friends and then dated at the end of college. And then we were like, where do we go from here? You're already my friend. I guess we're just getting married.
I guess we're just getting married. I love that.
Okay, 23-year-olds, go ahead. And we were
casual, like, right, exactly.
Yeah. So we actually have been married now for 15 years. We just celebrated our anniversary.
Congratulations.
So we have lived many lives together. So I will tell you a little bit about our many lives. So we were like in college. We got married literally the week after I graduated college. We lived like the immediate post-college DC unpaid internship lifestyle together.
Yep. Where in DC were you guys? Sorry.
What'd you say? Go ahead.
Where in DC were you guys?
Oh, we've lived all over. So our first apartment was in like upper Northwest DC in the Palisades, which was so beautiful, but like it took us like an hour to get downtown.
Isn't that funny? Yeah, I have a cousin or my aunt and uncle used to live there. Well, my aunt still does. I mean, yeah, it's a beautiful area, but it's like just over the DC line. And you're right. I still feel like it's so far removed. Yeah.
Yeah. So we lived there. That was our first apartment. Then we got jobs. And then we were like, let's do something different. And we moved to Northeast DC, which is basically the opposite of the Palisades. We lived right over the Northeast line in a neighborhood called Eckington, which is like Noma. It's very like trendy. It was like up and coming. So we lived there for a little while. That's where we brought home our first baby, who is our daughter. She's 13 now.
Oh my God.
My God. So I officially have a teen daughter, which is not as terrifying as everyone thinks. So I just want to throw that out there, and we can totally talk.
It's a daughter and it's a firstborn. So firstborn, I mean, I'm a daughter and a firstborn. I'm kind of a terror, but there's something about firstborn daughter energy because I am one and I have one. So I get that.
She's just like a really pleasant roommate who sometimes has emotions. And we're just like, okay, like this is reasonable. You know, I was based on what everyone says about teenage daughters, I was expecting like all hell to break loose, but that really hasn't been our experience. Like she's just been awesome. And we go on like mom and daughter date nights. Like it's a dream. It's really not as bad as
that's also a reflection of you guys. So.
But it's like really not as bad as everyone says. I was like totally freaked out. So we have her. Then we moved to even deeper into Northeast, like on H Street, which was, it was awesome to have like the restaurants and everything nearby. But then it got time to be like, okay, now our kids need to go to school. So we had to do the DC pre-K lottery, which if you
I've heard about that. One of our friends still lives there, and I thought they were moving out to the county because I'm pretty sure she already started kindergarten. Anyway, so I guess they're figuring part of it out. But yeah, no, I heard it's
It's a lot. Honestly, nothing will ever be as stressful in my whole life as the DC pre-K lottery. So you can list up to, at the time it was like 12 schools. You list them in order you want. And then there's like this algorithm that kind of takes into account all of your preferences. So like if it's your neighborhood pre-K, you don't have a guaranteed rate because it's not kindergarten, but you get like an extra preference point. If it's a younger sibling, you get like a preference point. So anyways, there's this system that takes into account all of these things. You rank them in order. If you get into like number 3, you're waitlisted on 1 and 2, and you're dropped from 4 to 12. Anyways, so the year that she was supposed to go into pre-K, we had this like very cute neighborhood school picked out. And it was like, they changed something with the preferences and we lived right over the border of the preferences. Anyway, she didn't get in. So DC pre-K is $1 million. I mean, the whole area is extremely expensive.
Oh God, right.
But we were paying basically $2,500 a month for one kid, which is a mortgage.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And she was like one of the only kids that didn't get in. And I was like, what are we going to do? You know, I didn't know what to do. And so anyways, we ended up buying the tiniest apartment in Northwest DC, like on earth. I'm talking like 600 square feet. We were like,
wow.
We were like, we're going to make this work because we need like a reliable school. We need a reliable school for her. So we bought this tiny apartment for like $295K, which is like in DC is nothing. You know, and I was pregnant with our second kid. So it was us and my huge
600. Wow. Wow. But you were going to have 4 people up in there. Granted, a newborn, but it's not like, babies need a lot of stuff. No, but newborns need all the stuff.
Yes.
All the stuff.
Yes. So it was exhausting, but like it was the best neighborhood. We lived like 6 blocks from the zoo. Like it was incredible. So we lived like right next to Rock Creek Park. So it was wonderful. And my husband and I were both working at the time. We had started working in international aid, which no longer kind of exists. And then once I got pregnant with my second one, I decided to switch to local government. So I was like, I'm going to work for the DC government because childcare is such a nightmare. And it's something I feel so strongly about that I want to kind of use my brain and what I know to work on this issue. So I applied for one job in DC government, got it. And then I started working more domestically while he kept working more on the international side of things. So that's kind of how life was going until the pandemic.
Until the pandemic.
Yeah.
Don't we know it? Don't we know it?
And I had like just gotten the oldest like into her like sweet neighborhood public school. Like everything was going really well. The baby was at like his, wonderful daycare, which was an arm and a leg, but like at least we were like happy with it and we could walk there, etc. And then cue the pandemic and we're in the 600 square foot apartment with two kids.
Oh my God.
And trying to do Zoom and
How did I not assume that the story was going? I like kind of forgot about not forget. Like, how did I not assume that? Of course, COVID was gonna it's like a roadmap gonna be right to the
right in the tiny. Because the whole thing about the tiny apartment was like, it's manageable if you're out of the house all the time. If you're
exactly. That's the point of city living. You can. You get the rink, you pay more for a location, which means you're probably getting a smaller place, but then you have all the amenities because it's all there. Yeah.
You have the public parks, you have the zoo, the kids were at daycare and school and we were at work all the time. So we were only there to like sleep and eat. So it was really reasonable. And then it was like, and this is a nightmare now that we're stuck inside all the time.
And that you owned. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So then I was like, at that point, we had been doing day trips up to Frederick County, like once a month at least. We just loved it. We were like, okay, cute small town, hiking. We used to come up to Howard County too. We would do like Patapsco. Like we were always doing day trips because we had to get out of the tiny apartment.
For sure.
So we were doing day trips all the time. We were coming up to farms and little shops and whatever. And then I was like, okay, we need to figure something out. I think we need to buy a house like out of the city and we can buy it as a second home. If we have to commute, let's keep our apartment for now in case we get called back to work, because my office was at Union Station and his office was in Rockville. So DC was the only place that made sense for both of us to get to work and get home before like 9 p.m.
Right.
So we started looking in Frederick County and it was the fall of 2020. It was a nightmare. It was like,
oh God, the market was insane.
It was crazy and everyone was wearing masks and you had to have these like social distance viewing and people were buying real estate like over Zoom. And I was like, this is crazy. We got so sick of the apartment that we moved in with my parents in Philly for the summer. And I was like, we're just going to like be here, which says a lot because living with your parents and your kids is exhausting.
Right.
But I was like, but we're going to be here for the summer because like I need more space. I need other adults to watch the kids while we're working. Like we need help.
Oh my God. Yes. All the things.
So we did that. And then, I think we put offers in on 5 different houses in Frederick and a couple like right over the line in like Clarksburg, like Montgomery County. And then I was like at my wit's end and finally, our real estate agent was like, there's this house that came up in Middletown, which was originally where we wanted to live. It's the home of South Mountain Creamery.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that's really where I wanted to live, but I wanted to live in an old house and Middletown is like 95% developments. And we were worried about an HOA and like it commuting back and forth to DC and people not liking that. So I was like, okay, it's gotta be a historic house. Found this one historic house. It's 100 years old. It was owned by the family that originally owned Main Cup downtown, the Main family. It was an ice cream shop at the time. It just had like this really cool history. It had a big porch and it was across the street from the park. Somehow we got our house.
Crazy.
Like, okay. This is like October 2020. At this point, we moved to the house, but we're like still prepared to get pulled back to DC.
Right. So nervous about that. Yeah.
Exactly. So because it's a long commute.
Mm-hmm.
So we were like, okay, worst case scenario, we can like go to a MARC train, like we'll figure it out. The kids are doing like Zoom school and it was awful. I mean, like my daughter was in her whole, I think, second grade year was on Zoom.
Oh my God.
So we were like, okay, we'll try to finish this up. And my poor, of course, the kid that gets into universal pre-K is on Zoom.
Of course, because that's how it goes.
That's how life works. And I was working for DC government and DC government was kind of hinting that we were going to have to come back. And then I got a job offer in January 2021 and it was a federal contractor. And they were like, do you want to come work here? And I was like, can I be remote forever? And they were like, cool. And then my husband's job transitioned to remote forever. So then we were like, okay, let's sell the apartment and just stay up here.
God bless.
Yes. So it worked out, and we picked it because that was the plan eventually. We liked the schools up here, et cetera. So that's like our long story of how we got to Frederick County. But we really love it here. It's a really good mix of like, there's nature, there's creeks, our kids have good schools. We can also go downtown and get really good food.
Yeah.
And like parking is like $2.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, after you've lived in a city, everything seems cheap.
Oh, for sure. I know. When you're like raving about parking, you're like, what? And I guess, and even hearing you say that, I was like, why are you? But I was like, I mean, we lived in Baltimore. I mean, but again, Baltimore to DC is also completely, you know, apples to oranges, because it's also like Baltimore is dirt cheap compared to DC, but still.
Yeah, you're like, and like you can go somewhere without needing a reservation. Like it's so those things, that like small town life.
Small
like,
town, yeah. Hasn't Frederick been called one of like the biggest small towns?
Yes, so Frederick County is the fastest growing county in Maryland. And I think a lot of it is due to people like us who came like in 2020 during the pandemic, just looking for more space. We live in Western Frederick County. The Eastern area, I think, has grown even faster, which is like Urbana, Mount Airy.
I was going to say, because Mount Airy is right on the Oco line.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of depends on where Mount Airy you are, because like I have, you know what I mean? It's whether you're on the east or west side, because we kind of like obviously mostly grab Mount Airy, but it, you know,
yeah.
So it's funny, but I agree. It's like, I feel like Frederick has become, I don't think it's necessarily the new Howard County, but it's like Howard County was like the new MoCo, because it was like, you know, Howard County was like more farmlandy. You could get more space. The schools were great, but you're not too far west like Frederick. You know what I mean? And you're still close to Metropolis, like with Baltimore, and still not all that far from DC. But then the cost of housing, you know, with in all the years too, it's like it's been moving everybody west. So I've just completely seen that, you know.
No, I think they have a lot in common. And that is what Frederick County gets mad sometimes. The people that have been here a while, they say, we don't want to be another Montgomery County. Don't turn us into another Montgomery County. And we're like, no one's trying to do that.
No, trust me, the people that are in Montgomery County are in Montgomery County.
Yeah, like, don't worry, they're there.
I'm from Montgomery County, so, and you lived in DC, so you, even if you didn't go to, you know.
Yeah, so it is like a little annoying that we're so far west, but then what is really nice is that when we travel, which we do a lot, we're exactly equidistant from BWI and Dulles. So we can go to both. Like we're an hour from each, and we're like an hour 15 from Reagan when that comes up, which is not too frequently.
Yeah.
I know people like to call it national too. But that's like a really nice thing. So whenever we're deciding on day trips, it takes us the same amount of time to get to Baltimore as it does to DC. So we're just like, oh, well, we can go to the aquarium, or we can go to the zoo. Like, what do we want to do? So it's nice here. And a lot of people that live here, they commute to one or both, like in the family. Like the husband might go to Baltimore and the wife might go to DC. Yeah. But our town, I would say, there's a lot of work from home people. Yeah. And there's a ton of federal contractors in Frederick County that work remotely or commute sometimes, or both. So that's kind of like the vibe. But no, we really like it here.
Yeah. So now that you're established, you're in Frederick, tell me about, you know, the social media evolution and what that was like for you, and, you know, getting to the creation of your page, and because now you've got, you know, your kids and your, because I mean, I definitely had a weird evolution with that and how that came about. And, because like I said, even for me, when I started this was not my, you know, I wasn't like, this is going to be my job, or I'm going to create a business out of it. That's not what the intention was, or how or the purpose, the intention, whatever. It was still, yes, birthed out of COVID for sure. Yeah. But yeah, so walk us through that.
Yeah. So, we were just working here and kind of working remotely. Kids were in school. Baby number 3 came along at some point, in 2022, he came along. And then, so my husband and I were both federal contractors. And then last year, he kind of got impacted by the USAID closure.
I had cousins that were, and they were actually like literally like in Africa.
Yeah.
I'm sure you know a lot of people that were probably in similar situations. Yeah.
Yeah. So he worked in kind of the finance side of things. So he got laid off in April, but then the company actually said, this is like heartbreaking. He said, we actually need to like bring you back because we need you to help close out all of the programs. So he had to like call all the local partners and talk about like withdrawing the support and like pulling the money and like all these people in local offices that he'd like built these relationships with. And he had traveled to a lot of these places too for work. Like, I mean, he had traveled to, in the early days of our marriage, he had gone to Iraq a couple times. He had gone to Nepal, Egypt. So a lot of these are people that he's met in person, and he had to like, talk about kind of the, US government isn't doing this anymore. We have to kind of, so anyways, it was awful. And then once that was done, he's also like working himself out of a job. Right. So then he was laid off for good in July. It's June 2026. He is still unemployed. I mean, he's been looking this whole time. It's so hard. There are so many people looking for jobs right now. And like an entire industry has been, kind of pulled away. Right. Because that's
for sure.
That's like what people have done is that they have learned how to use US government money to further US aims in these other countries and support local communities, et cetera. So like that's what they know. So there is like a lot of pivoting that people are doing. Like, some people have gone on to kind of foundations, some have gone into the federal government, but at the same time, this was all happening. A lot of the federal government was in a hiring freeze. So like that just kind of added, a little bit of complications. So he's been unemployed for a full year almost. And then we're managing it okay. I am still hanging on. I'm a contractor for Health and Human Services. So we weren't sure what was going to kind of come next and if the axe was going to come down on my job. So we were like figuring out plan A, plan B, all the way through plan Z, to make sure that like our kids were happy, healthy, and fed and safe and et cetera.
Oh my God, right.
Right. So then it kind of got to November. There was a government shutdown that impacted my contract. It was the longest one. I think it was the 52-day one. And we just looked at him and I was like, okay, I want to talk about like plan ZZ. And plan ZZ is like something that I've always wanted to do is start like a small travel agency focusing on families, because we are the family that like, while everyone is going to like Disney and cruises, we're going to a small town in Mexico. See you later.
Right.
And I always have mom friends be like, where should we go? Like, we want to do, and they would say like, we have 7 days. We want to do a direct flight out of Dulles. We want to pay $500 per person. We want a beach. Where do we go? And I was like the friend, the mom that you would call to like figure out, where are we going? Help me with my itinerary, because I mean, everyone knows like moms are exhausted. Decision fatigue is insane. So when it comes to planning a trip, frequently moms I know are just like, I don't want to do any of this. So we're just going to do an all-inclusive resort.
Yeah. I guess I literally feel that. I'm like, yes.
And some people love that. And that is awesome. And I love, if you love that, that is great. But what I kept hearing from mom friends is they would come back from the all-inclusive resort and they would go, I hated that. I didn't actually want to do that. I wanted to get out and I wanted to explore and I wanted to try different food and I wanted to do all this stuff. So I kind of thought, I think there's like a space here for me to help moms plan a little bit more adventurous trips. And if they want to do the all-inclusive, if they want to do a cruise, if they want to do Disney, I'll do that too. But really kind of like my bread and butter is like the exhausted, adventurous mom that wants to travel with her kids and also wants to like have it be restful, because they're saying it's not really vacation. If you're going with kids, it's just parenting in a different place.
Facts.
Yeah. So like facts, but also like, can we make it a little bit better for you? Like, how can we make the trip like not as miserable for you? Can we have like a private chef come to your condo and cook dinner one night?
Right.
So for me, it's all about like, how am I helping my mom friend plan a better trip? And that's kind of where Travel Family was born and came from. So we did everything above board. So we have a social media page, but we also like have an LLC and have a registered domain. And like, so we pay taxes, like all of the stuff. So then I just joined a agency about a month ago. So I'm like a full service travel
Cool.
agent.
Okay.
So we
Yeah.
can do everything. So I would say like my biggest areas are like traditional, like come in and you're like, hey, I booked a flight to France. I need help with the itinerary. Can you help me make it kid friendly, but I still want to go to a museum. I still want to eat good food. That's kind of like, so we can do that. Or I have separate services that are just, I call it destination counseling, because that decision fatigue of like where to go is so overwhelming for people, especially if we live in a major city. We have BWI and Dulles are pretty big airports. We have a lot of really good options. And you know, like people are like, okay, I can go somewhere for spring break next year. I don't know where to go. This is what we like. Can you help me find a place? So I also have like destination counseling, like let's just sit and chat about places. So social media kind of just arose naturally as a way to kind of grow the business and kind of share like, hey, this is what our family does on trips. And like, it's possible. Like my kids are not perfect.
Yeah.
And like, we still go to really cool places and have really cool experiences. So like, how can I help you guys do that if you want to have those experiences for your family too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So when timeline wise, right? Because you had your third son or third child in 22. When did you sort of start? What year was it that you started the travel stuff?
Yeah. So, I mean, we've been traveling, like, that's always been a thing for us since we got married. I mean, we had our honeymoon in Turkey.
That's so cool.
We've just always, like, we both studied abroad. Like, I was in Morocco, he was in Ghana. Like, we're just like people that love different food, culture, history. Like, that's really something that connected us. So I would say our first international trip was when our oldest was about 15 months old. We went to Ireland. It was terrible.
Oh,
People are always like, oh, you guys must have had the best experiences traveling. I'm like, so I'm not sure what was happening in that moment, but like people were not nice, which is really unusual for Irish culture and families. So I don't want to make like any generalizations about our experience. I think we had a very unusual experience, but there was a lot of like, like anti-American vibes at the time. And they were kind of like, are you gonna talk to us about the potato famine? And I was like, no, like they were really like, I don't know if it was an over tourism issue, but there was something going on kind of that we felt like not super welcome. And our daughter was, of course, we talked about oldest daughter, first daughter energy, perfect child, perfect baby, giggling, happy all the time. And we would be in public and people would like glare at us at like 4 p.m. at like a pub. I was like, why are we not allowed to be here? You know, so it was really unusual. So we had kind of a mixed experience in Ireland. We went home and I was like, I'm done traveling. I'm not going to travel with kids anymore. I think I'm not allowed to anymore. People don't want parents. People don't want families in the world. I was like, so over it.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, let's try one more time. We're going to try one more time the next year. And we're going to go somewhere so easy that I don't know anything about. It was 2016 and we went to Puerto Rico. I knew very little about Puerto Rico. I knew that like it was a territory. We didn't need our passports and that maybe I could speak some Spanish. Yeah. But I was assuming it was going to be like pretty Americanized. And we went and we had the best time. We drove all around the island. We spoke Spanish had to speak Spanish immediately. And that was so fun. And everyone was so kind to our daughter. I mean, we were at like a restaurant. It was on like a rooftop restaurant on the beach. She had some toy with her and she threw it over the gate onto the flat part of the roof with no gate. Right. And I'm kind of like, I'm not going to get that. Like, I don't want to fall off this roof. And I just said to her like, oh no, it's gone. And a waiter who wasn't even our waiter jumped over the railing, grabbed her toy and handed it back to her and walked away.
Wow.
And I was just like, what? And that was like a metaphor for like the whole time. Everyone was like so kind to us, was like trying to feed her, trying to hold her, like just so like overly welcoming and kind to families. And it was such a special experience. And it kind of like brought back my hope of like, maybe we can do this. Like maybe we can travel as a family and we can figure this out. We started getting back into our travel rhythm. We went to Iceland when I was pregnant with the second kid.
Mm-hmm.
We went to a couple different places, went to Panama, and then back to COVID. Yep. So then, we're home for a couple years. We can't go anywhere. There was at some point you weren't even allowed to leave your state. They didn't even want you to leave your state.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So like the biggest trip we could do was go to like Eastern Shore. We couldn't do anything. And then I remember my second, who was like 3 during COVID, he said to me, are we not a travel family anymore?
Whoa.
And we were like, no, we are. So we started making these big plans. We said, when the pandemic is over, these are the places we're going to go. This is what we're going to do. So we made more plans than ever, right? That's what we all did during the pandemic. We all sat and talked about what we were going to do when the pandemic was over.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of where the name Travel Family came from, is from his little sweet toddler mouth saying, are we not going to go places anymore? So, and they would always love to tell their friends, their friends would say, are you going to be home during spring break? And they would say, no, we're not going to be home. We're a travel family.
Oh, that's so cute. Yeah.
So then, pandemic kind of slowed down. Baby 3 was in 2022. And then we started traveling again when he was about 1. And we started kind of easier. We went to San Diego, which, by the way, go to San Diego in October, because they have a program that I don't know why everyone doesn't know about this, but they have kids free October. Kids free October. And all of the major museums, the sites, the safari park, the zoo, kids are free in October.
What?
Yes.
Dang.
And the flights are cheap. And I mean, the water is a little cold, but it's the Pacific Ocean. It's always cold.
It's always colder, right?
Yeah. So we had the best time. We ate so many tacos, and we saved a lot of money going to these museums and things that, otherwise we would have had to pay full price for. So we started light. We went to San Diego, and then where else did we go with all 3 kids? With all 3 kids, we've been to Mexico twice, to different towns. Puerto Rico. We went back to Iceland as a family. That was something we really wanted to do. We had talked about what are the special places we want to go back with all 3 kids. And then we just kind of started putting a lot of like rituals and traditions around our travel. Like we would have conversations beforehand, like, what are your must-dos? We would say, what are your no thank yous?
Oh, yeah.
So we started figuring out like all these things, how to make travel with kids easier. My kids make fun of me because I always have a PowerPoint before our trip. I'm like, this is the food you're going to see.
Yeah.
Because I don't want food to be presented to my kids and my kids to go, ew. So I'm like, this is what we're going to see. This is what the money looks like. This is what our hotel looks like. This is the travel day. So you're not asking me, what time are we leaving, Mom? What time are we leaving, Mom? So we would kind of put all of these practices in place.
Yeah, that's amazing.
That when we started Travel Family, I was like, oh, let me pull this stuff too. So we do have stuff like we have conversation cards that you can do if you're trying to plan a trip and get your kids involved. We have like my little PowerPoint I turned into a template for other parents
God, that's so cute. I was like, that's such a cool idea. Yeah.
So we've turned like all of our little fun things that we have figured out, because I think that our trips that have gone the best have been ones that the kids were really excited about because they were prepared for.
Yeah.
And they had like some skin in the game. They were like, okay, we're going to Mexico and we learned about the Mayans.
Yeah.
So they had like a connection, and I'm that annoying mom that like when we get back, I'm asking their teachers if we can like make a project connected to the travel. But like that's because, people go, you shouldn't travel with kids because they don't remember. And I'm like, yeah, but that's our job to reinforce it so that they do remember and show them pictures and connect it to school projects and be like, hey, maybe you don't remember when you were 2 and we went to Iceland, but like, you have a project on the Vikings and I have some pictures. So let me share these pictures with you of you at 2 in Iceland that you can add to your project. So that's something that we really like to do. But yeah, we love traveling with them. We just went to Costa Rica for spring break, which was so fun. And I can't believe we hadn't been before, but it had overwhelmed me because it's a lot of logistics and driving.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But figured it out. We had a really good time. So yeah, we love traveling as much as we can. And I love helping other moms like figure it. I'm like, yes, I see this post all the time. People go, where should I travel with my kids? And I'm like, okay, I need to know what's your home airport? Do you need a direct flight? What's the vibe? Are we doing beach, city, jungle? Are we adventuring? Are we resting? And then after that, we can like throw around some recommendations. But that's my favorite thing to do is to hear from another mom. Like, we want to go somewhere. We don't know where. This is our budget. This is our dream Saturday. And then we can like match make destinations. That is my favorite thing to do.
That's so cool. And it's so cool to kind of hear about your like different processes, like even like the PowerPoint thing. And of course, like I'm like, you have 3 kids and like, and it sounds like you still have another full-time job. And yeah. And like, I'm like, where are you making the time to like make the PowerPoint to like, da, 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 da. Obviously, but you know, of course it always goes back to like, well, when you love something, you're passionate, excited about it. Obviously,
Exactly.
you're excited about travel. Well, so then I love how it's obviously birthed out of, you know, your whole family's desire and passion for travel. So how does that translate now? And what does that look like for, you know, I guess not just how you help parents, but like, you know, the actual services and things that you offer for people. Because I want people to walk away knowing, you know, I mean, obviously it's, you know, obviously very apparent that yes, you can help, you know, parents and moms and families figure out not just, you know, different trips and to travel and to take those adventures and bring the kids and make the memories and things like that. But what does that look like? What are those services actually are?
Yeah, so I'm kind of revamping our services right now, but the main buckets are kind of traditional trip planning as much and as deep as you want. So you can come to me and you can say, Tara, I have no idea where we want to go. I have like $5,000 for our family of 5, and we want to go somewhere. These are our dates because of school calendars. Parents always have very restrictive dates. So I always say, this is a sidebar, but I always say, if you want a cheaper vacation, you need to be flexible on dates, destination, or both. If you come to me and you say, I want to go to Italy, April 1st to April 10th, it's going to cost what it costs. But if you come to me and you say, I want to go to Europe, April 1st to April 10th, then that's really where we can kind of explore and figure things out. So my bottom line argument is that I don't really believe that there are any kid unfriendly places. If there are kids living there, it is a kid friendly destination. And we can really just about, maybe you're not going to the fancy restaurant at 10 p.m. because that would be insanity. But like, maybe you're going to the fancy restaurant at 4 p.m. Right? Yeah. So like maybe we can figure stuff out. So my services are really, I can do end-to-end travel planning. I can book things for you. Or if you say, I want it to be in mine, which it would be in your name anyways, but I really want to do my own bookings. I can go, okay, cool. Let's look at Vrbo for you. Let's look and let me filter by all of your preferences. And a lot of what I do is kind of asking questions and challenging assumptions that you have. Like, it's almost like a little bit of therapy, because you say, okay, I think I'm just going to look, I'm just going to do Vrbo in Rome. And I go, okay, well, hold on a second. Before we do that, do you need laundry? Do you need it to be walkable? Do you need a grocery store nearby? And I'm going to ask you all those questions that you're not going to think to look for. And then I'm going to take your list of 2,000 places and I'm going to filter it down for you to like 5. So really, so the point is really to help you kind of, you don't know what you don't know. And you don't know that like, maybe there's no air conditioning in Rome in the summer, and actually it would be really hot. And maybe you should go to Rome in April. So that's kind of my job, is to come in and tell you what you might not know, to help you kind of narrow down the huge amount of information. And people say like travel agents, like, isn't that so 70s? And I'm like, well, kind of, but now we've come full circle. And now there's so much information that people really get decision fatigue of what kind of rental should I stay in? What transport do I need to do, especially in Europe? Do I need a car or a train? Right. Exactly. And like a lot of people help, you know, they need help figuring out like, can I bring the car seat? That's a huge question. Can I bring the car seat or do I rent the car seat? And I always say those plane seats, we need to check the measurements of the plane seats. And like, who would tell you that if it wasn't me, right? Like, you need a mom friend that has gone through this, that has tried to bring her car seat and has been told it's too big. Like, I will be the mom friend that will help you and will give you a heads up about all this stuff. So it is full service travel planning with a real focus on families, but like, family is, you know, however you define it. Like, I mean, I have friends that are, you know, single gay friends in Europe that I have helped plan trips because they have their own considerations that they're looking for. Is this a place I'm going to feel safe? And I'm like, let's figure that out. So maybe that's not my experience, but like I can talk to other friends and I can research that for you and figure that out. So basically I'm like your research mom friend who is going to make you have a trip that is going to be whatever you want it to be. If you want it to be adventurous and we're trying new foods and we're hiking in the jungle, we can do that. If you want to go sit at the pool while the kids are, swimming and drinking smoothies, we can do that. If you want a combination, we can do that. So what I kind of try to do is I kind of say, okay, like let's back up from destinations and must-haves and sites. Put that stuff to the side for a second. Tell me your favorite Saturday that you've had with the kids. What do you guys like
that's
doing?
a cool way to go about it. Yeah.
So we just back up from all that stuff because people get so, I call it destination fixation. People get so focused on like, I need to see the Coliseum. And I'm like, cool. Awesome. If you want to go sit on a beach, it might not be the right time for you to go see the Coliseum.
Right.
So a lot of that. So I do a lot of travel planning, but it's always like a collaboration and we're digging in, we're figuring out what actually is going to be the best trip for you because it's probably not going to be what you think. So we do a lot of that. We do a lot of the destination counseling. And then I like to also just find it, like, even if you have a fully planned trip and it's 99% planned and you want someone to come and like reality check it, I love to do that. And I love to be like,
now that's cool.
Yeah, like that's too much.
That's very neat. Yeah.
And I can be like, your kids are going to be exhausted from this morning walking tour and you have a booked boat tour in the afternoon. You're probably going to miss that boat tour. Let's consider moving that boat tour to the next day. So like we do a lot of, let's lay out a daily schedule, which is another like huge tip for traveling with kids. You need a consistent daily schedule.
True. Yeah.
And for us, that looks like breakfast, big morning activity, lunch, quiet/screen time. Everyone feels differently about screen time. My kids need screen time. And if I don't budget it into the day, they're going to be bothering me all day.
Right.
And the last thing you want is to be at the Coliseum and have your kids being, can I go back and play Roblox? Like that's the last thing you want to hear. So if you tell the kids screen time is from 1 to 3 p.m. and then the toddler's also napping and maybe mom is catching a nap, then like that really helps kind of break up the day and cut down on some of the whining. Yeah. So I love to kind of review daily schedules and help people kind of set that up. I love to find activities that are kid friendly. So people get really focused on booking the excursions. And the excursions are, the boat trips, the day trips. Trips. And people love to do that stuff. And I love to do that stuff too, but it has to fit into the daily schedule.
Oh yeah.
It has to fit in, and we have to check age minimums because a lot of them are hard to find the age minimum. A lot of them are coming up.
Yeah.
So we have to figure that out. And frequently someone will come to me and they'll say, I really want to do this tour. And they'll send me a link and it'll be like a full day boat tour on a catamaran with dinner included. And I'm like, oh, this looks great, but this starts at 2 p.m. And you guys have a big morning at a museum. And I think everyone's going to be really pissed off if you kind of cut into that afternoon lazy time. So I say, why don't we find this one that's 4 hours instead and starts at 6 p.m. So like a lot of, let's find shorter ones. Let's find more kid-friendly ones. One of my favorite things to do with our kids is do a food tour or a cooking class because like immediately they're engaged. If they can use their 5 senses.
That's cool. Yeah.
Right. If they can taste or smell something, immediately, even the toddler is like, I'm in, So that's one of my favorite things to do. So we do a lot of that kind of stuff, but then like also I'm, a human with a regular job and limited PTO. So we're not traveling all the time. So when we're at home, I love to do stuff like, we love to go to different restaurants in Frederick and we do like a little family review of them. So I do that a lot on TikTok. And we love to support like the local businesses. The local business community and the food scene in Frederick is like really strong. So
Yeah.
we love to do that. I actually just started a new series where I go in and talk to some of like the small business owners that own the restaurants, or do you guys have like cottage industries in HoCo?
Yeah, there are some.
Yeah, we have a lot. So we have a lot of people that like they make charcuterie boards at home and they deliver them to you, or they make sourdough and deliver it to you, or banana bread or something. And I found a lot of these people, and like there's a lot of interest in that. So that's something I love to promote. And then also like we're just such a foodie family. So we do a lot of cooking. We like to say like we want our kids to be adventurous eaters. And the opposite of an adventurous eater is what we call a butter noodle kid.
That's so funny.
So, and everyone, when I say that, every mom knows exactly what I mean. Our kids have all been through butter noodle phases. And sometimes a kid will come over and you're trying to feed them dinner and they say, "Can you just give me butter noodles?" Now, no disses to butter noodles. A lot of kids are neurodiverse and, you know, they might have special needs,
yeah, for sure.
you know, and I have one of those kids too. I have a neurodiverse, my oldest. But like we really try as much as possible to get away from the butter noodles, and we have like curry Thursday every week. So and obviously we do Taco Tuesday, but our tacos, I'm difficult. So our tacos, like I'm hand pressing the tortillas because I'm insane.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
But yeah, so we do a lot of like our cooking adventures at home. Right now, I mean, everyone's getting ready for the beach. So right now I'm really kind of focusing on how can we help parents like actually cook food that they don't hate at the beach in a kitchen that's not your own. How can you cook food that isn't chicken nuggets and frozen pizzas when you're eating at home, right? So I'm working on a collab with a local chef in Austin, and I'm super excited about it. We're going to be talking about like how to cook in a kitchen that's not yours, and like easy, like maybe you're going to the local fishmonger and getting fish and making like fish tacos at the beach. And some people might be like, "I don't want to do that, Tara." And it's fine. You don't have to. You can just, if you want to just do frozen pizza and nuggets, that's cool too. But it really helps cut down on cost of like eating out when you're at the beach we go to the beach for 2 weeks. If we ate out as a family of 5 every night for dinner, it would be, $100.
Oh my God, I know.
$100.
Well, that's why it ends up going back to like the all-inclusive kind of stuff.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
That's how you go back. So we're trying to, so it's not to say that like everything that we do is like travel, international focus. There's a ton of like domestic things that we do as well when we're at home, when we're heading to the beach, etc. So those are kind of some of the things that I love talking about.
Yeah. Oh my God. Well, and I think that's so fun that you can still like, obviously be the travel fam with all your expertise and all the things that you offer. And I love that thing you said, like the reality check thing too, because I think that's a really cool, like, feature and sort of offering that you do. Cause I feel like for a lot of families, regardless of the age, you know what I mean? Like my kids are getting, older, more independent. So it's, getting easier to travel and do things. But for people that want to travel, especially when their kids are younger, I feel like having some eyes on all of that, and their goals and desires and wants, is so important, because it definitely gets tricky when they're younger, but definitely doable. You know what I mean? It all depends on what you want and what you want to make happen and things like that.
Well, the difference between older and younger, right, is that the youngers are physically harder and they have more stuff, but they have less opinions.
Right.
And as we get kind of like, I know my older ones, my kids are 13, 9, and 3, and the 13 and 9-year-old, they have so many opinions on where are we going to dinner? What food are we trying? What, I don't want to go to that museum. So it's like they're a little more, and that comes up too. So I sometimes have one client who had kind of 2 teen boys, and her teen boys are very involved in the planning, and rightfully so, because otherwise she's going to go on a trip and they're just going to complain the whole time.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. At all ages, I would say there's definitely pros and cons to traveling with kids.
Oh, of course. Yeah. There's always something, you know what I mean? Like the hard things get easier, but then the hard things change.
Exactly. Yeah. That's exactly right. Yes.
Well, Tara, this has been so awesome to talk about, like, and really get this whole glimpse of, what you do and everything like that. And obviously, I love hearing like, your DC origin story, because again, like I have a lot of family that lives in DC, is from kind of the DC area. So, and again, I feel like it's such a DC thing. Like when you say like, oh, we love travels, I feel like everyone in DC, like that's what they love to do. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's just kind of the DC culture. So I'm not surprised.
Yes, absolutely.
But again, like as soon as you're talking about like, how much you love to like share the local like food scene and things around like, your hometown in Frederick, I was like, oh, that's so like, obviously like near and dear to my heart, because obviously I love doing all of that too. And but I feel like it goes so well with everything that you do, even if it's like, like you said, I mean, yeah, you're a foodie, but you're showcasing things that you know and love and in your area, in addition to all the really cool travel stuff. So, and I think there are a lot of parents, again, we are out of COVID, we're out of that. I mean, obviously we've been out of COVID for years. I just mean, for the longest time, people like obviously weren't traveling and weren't doing things.
Yeah,
and
people are traveling now more than ever, especially
exactly. Like we're getting, I mean, granted, like the economy is a whole crazy different thing, but I think from the conversations I've had with other people too, is that, another, I wouldn't say fear of traveling. It's more of like, okay, well, I don't, feel like, budget is a massive thing. Like, oh, well, I don't really have much of a budget, so therefore I can't really do these things. And admittedly, I feel like I fall into that category a lot of times, because I'm like, oh, well, I don't know. I mean, it's like, it's either time or money. It's kind of both, you know what I mean?
Yes.
I work from home, but my husband doesn't, you know what I mean? So I have more flexibility, than he does, something that limits us of availability. But then and then it comes back to budget, because it's like, well, okay, you know what I mean? Because then you do flights times 4, and then depends on what we want to do.
Flights times 4 is exhausting. But it's so funny, because like we travel, people say, why do you travel internationally so much? And I say, actually, because it ends up being cheaper than domestic. Because I mean, like, even if we're going to drive to Outer Banks for our summer vacation, and I mean, it's $5,000 a week.
Yeah.
It's usually what you see. And I mean, at that rate, like I could get a house in Mexico, for cheaper. So then you add in the flights and it still ends up frequently being cheaper. But I do hear that from people a lot of like, the budget is this. And I'm like, tell me the budget. Give me a hard number to start. Don't tell me Paris and $3,000 for a family of 5 in peak season, because it's not going to work. Right. So like, if you have this budget, if you have dates, that's where destination is going to have to be flexible, because that's like your little triangle of your trip, right?
Yeah.
So kind of mapping that out with moms is just something that can be like, no, like we can do this. We can figure out.
I like, that's really cool. Because I mean, like, I feel like obviously, big weeks are like, obviously spring break, that goes without saying, summertime, and, a week that like we are trying to play with more, but it's also challenging, but it's like that in between Christmas and New Year's, that like 26th to 30th, 31st.
One of the most expensive times to travel.
No, exactly. Of course. It's like, it's good because it's like, most people are off, but also like everyone's traveling then. So it's challenging. But, I think it's like, you can still like approach it with like, okay, well, these are the dates. What are my potential options,
Exactly.
So I think that's a really cool lens to think about it. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of just, backing out, rethinking it, and then kind of diving back in, because, I'll tell you this story. I know we're kind of wrapping up. I had one client that really wanted to go to Germany this summer, and then the prices just kept going up and up and up and up. And then they were worried about kind of the war going on. And she said, okay, let's stop everything. Is there another place we can go domestically? And I said, okay, forget Germany. What do you want to do? And she said, well, we really love nature and kayaking and museums. And one of my kids really wants to go see whales. And I said, oh, Pacific Northwest. So we found her super cheap flights to Seattle, and we just redid the entire trip, because we were able to like zoom out and say, oh, what are you wanting to do? And now she has an awesome trip planned with like $300 flights to Seattle instead of $1,500 flights to Germany. And yes, she will go to Germany. We will do Germany another time.
Yeah. Exactly. It's just,
it's about what trip is working for your family in this moment, and what's going to be restful. And that's like what I am so excited to do.
That's awesome. Well, so where can people find you, follow you, so that they can either, well, obviously to stay tuned with all of your adventures and all your fun sharings and highlights and stuff like that, but also where can they, learn more if they want to, whether it's asking you questions, advice, or just, like hire you to kind of help them with their trips. Where can they find you?
Yeah. So our handle is at travel_family_explores. So travel family explores with underscores in between. And that's on Instagram and Threads and TikTok.
Love it.
Those are the big ones. And then our website is travel-fam.com. And I'll make sure that you have all of those links.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, honestly, it's like any which way, like DM me, any door is correct. We will get you to the right place. Like, you will see me yapping on Threads about all of the things that I love and, parenting.
And that's could almost be your slogan. We will get you to the right place.
We will get you to the perfect, right? We will get you to the right place. I like to say my little slogan is we plan so you can be present is what I really like to do. Because I don't want moms. I have been the mom that has been sitting there on my dream vacation. We're at the pool. I should be relaxing. And I'm searching what's the next boat tour we're doing and what's the expedition. And I don't want people there are people like me that are crazy and we love planning, but if that is not restful for you, I don't want you to be doing that. I want you to be at the pool, enjoying your time with your kids. Vacations are expensive. They are an investment. And I don't want anyone coming away from them going, I need a vacation from that vacation.
Oh my God. Right. Yeah. No, I feel you.
That's the worst feeling when you get back.
I know. Ain't that the truth, right? Especially as we are coming into vacation season. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So I hope everyone has just a restful summer and is able to actually take a break on these vacations and not just, quote, do parenting in another location.
Well, it's hard to get away completely from that, but yes.
Yes. I mean, we do still have to parent our kids, but hopefully there's some opportunity for connection and rest.
Exactly. I love it. Well, Tara, thank you so much for being here today. I'm so glad that we could chat about all. Now I'm it's getting the bug, but luckily,
come on, girl, come on.
Right? I know. But the good news is, it's the good weather helps now, right? To get more excited about things.
You can start dreaming about it. And I mean, even right now, we're talking a lot about your summer bucket list. It doesn't have to be a trip. It can be we're gonna go try snow cones at a new place.
Oh, I know. Yeah, exactly. The other origin story of my business, right?
Right?
Yes. Exactly.
Yes.
So follow along at I was mixing family and travel. Travel-y? That's actually kind of cute. Travel Family Explores to follow along with Tara's adventures and obviously to get all your help, advice, and tips on making your next trip with the family. So thank you so much for being here, Tara. So great to meet you, talk with you, and I'm excited to follow along with more of your Frederick adventures too.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Mom Talk Maryland. If you loved it, leave a review, share it with a friend, or tag me at the.columbiamom on Instagram. I'd love to hear what you think. And don't forget to follow the show so you never miss an episode. Until next time, keep showing up, keep supporting local, and keep being the incredible mom, woman, human that you are.